Family, it's Pastor KARRI, and I want to welcome you to our 15-minute daily devotion. Listen, we're doing something just a little bit different today. If you were with us this past Sunday, you know that our next stop on our home invasion tour was to Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm from, and gave you a sneak peek into my life, my story, my family, and the history of who I am. Listen, we had some technical difficulties on Sunday, and you didn't get a chance to see the whole film, so we wanted to replay that for you today in its entirety, so you get a chance to really walk through my life, see some of my experiences, hear from my mom, my brother, and some of the people that I love. Listen, I pray that it blesses you. Enjoy. Hey family, it's Pastor KARRI here, and welcome to my city. I know that you are typically knowing Las Vegas for the lights, you know it for the beautiful hotels and the entertainment, but can I tell you, this is my home. This is where I was born and raised, and I'm looking forward to giving you a sneak peek into my life, how I was raised, how I was reared here in Las Vegas, and how my life has transformed because of it. Let's go.
My mom came to me one day and she said, you got an ultimatum. You got two things. You either abort this child or you have to move out the house.
Hey family, listen, now we on the west side of town. The west side is where I grew up, and I'm standing in front of an area of land, a vacant area of land that used to be apartments called KARRI Arms. I grew up in KARRI Arms as a little girl. When my mom got her first apartment after she got pregnant with me at 18, had me, we lived in KARRI Arms where she was on subsidized housing at the time. She didn't stay on it for long because she was determined to get off and she was determined to work. So as a little girl, they're tore down now, but this is where I lived. My mom used to literally every day get up for work. She was a maid initially at the Four Queens Hotel and then went on to work in the laundry, but she would walk from these apartments every day all the way to the Four Queens Hotel. And if you're from Vegas, you know how far that is.
When you're a mom, you can't eat food and know that your children don't have dinner at home. So what I would do is I would take my lunch and my other co-workers would get some lunch and we would put it in a little bag and I would take it home for the kids to eat because I didn't feel right about eating and they didn't have anything for dinner.
Hey family, this is the Four Queens Hotel, the back of it anyway, where my mom has worked for, I believe, close to 40 years. I used to watch her as a little girl have to walk all the way down this aisleway to clock in as she served as a maid initially and worked in the laundry. She still works here, as a matter of fact. And so for so many years, my mom has worked. She has toiled on her feet 10, 12, more than that hours a day. The yellow and white house that you just saw that we just passed by is also a home that I grew up in with my mom, my brother, and myself. Those were some rough years as well. Those were the years when my mom had lost everything. She was starting all over for the first time. That was the first place that she was able to get us. And so we lived there for several years as we began to grow up in this community. You know, during those years, it were times where there were no lights. It was times where there was no water. This house, though, was probably some of the darkest years of my life, quite honestly. A person that my mom was married to was a molester, and so I had experienced physical abuse from this person while in this house. There was a woman by the name of Sister McKinney, God rest her soul. She used to pick me up on the church van on Saturdays for choir practice, on Sundays for church, and during the week on Wednesdays. She didn't even know what she was rescuing me from every time that green truck came to pick me up. Every time she came came to get me. She was delivering me from something that was going on in this home. So family, this is where I grew up spiritually. I grew up at Pilgrim Rest Missionary Baptist Church, pastored by Reverend McKinley Hartman Jr. Yes, my entire life, I had been here until I left for college. I remember joining this church as a little girl. I had to have been about 7 years old. I walked down the aisle on my own. My mom didn't tell me, nobody asked me. I knew that I wanted to accept Jesus, and so when the doors of the church was open, I walked my little self down the aisle. I told them I wanted to accept Jesus, and I wanted to be baptized.
I knew DeKedra had the gift of speaking. Every weekend, she was over to the house, and that was our girl time with a few other of the young ladies at the church. And a lot of discussions that we would have, she was the most vocal. She was the most opinionated. And her phrase was, I just gotta say what I gotta say.
If the teacher told KARRI the sky was blue, you was going to have to break it down to her. And she was going to ask, why is it blue? How come it's not gray?
DeKedra, as a child, was, hard-headed. She didn't listen. I can remember some of the times that her mom had to call for us to come over to give her some redirections. You were this skinny, little inquisitive, talkative child, always asking questions. You always wanted to know, couldn't keep you quiet. So you were a little nosy when it came to family business.
These offices, though, were the headquarters for the Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Committee, where I spent so much of my time in high school. It literally changed the trajectory of my life. Being a part of that youth committee exposed me to travel. It exposed me to HBCUs. It exposed me to higher education.
I had the pleasure of being introduced to KARRI as a member of the Martin Luther King Youth Committee. We were, at the time, a group of organizations. I had just come home from UC Berkeley and decided I wanted to come home and mentor kids and help them go on to higher education, because I had the pleasure of having both the HBCU and the predominantly PWI experience.
It was so critical during my high school years and helped rearing me to my next space that I would go to. So
My fondest memories about her, though, and I love her so much for this, she went to college.
Oh man, when she left to go to school, it was surreal for a minute, because we had been together for so long. I don't know. It was the saddest day of my life.
One of the saddest moments in my life is when I was getting ready to leave to go to college. Our home had been foreclosed on. She lost it. And so we had been kind of put out. I had to climb into the side window of this home that we lived in to pull out clothes so that I could have enough clothes to take with me when I came to school in Atlanta. I will never forget living in this space. I will never forget what I felt when I had to leave. And those are the things that helped charge me.
Like I said, I've known her from the beginning, and to see where she came from, understanding that she had two paths and that she was able to manifest this. We talked about this when we were kids. We talked about this in junior high school, and to see that she chose this path and fought so hard to get to this place is what I'm proud of. I look at some of the young women that we grew up with, and this isn't anything against anybody, but to see what she blossomed into and how she succumbed so many of her friends. And I don't know, I'll get emotional talking about it, but I'll just say, just to see her become what she said she was going to become.
What I'm most proud about, DeKedra, is seeing you from your adolescent years and seeing that, bold, being vocal, opinionated, and how life happens and maturity sets in and growth, and how God just flourished you into the platforms that He's placed your feet on, to be able to see where you came from to where you are now.
The impact that you have provided for that generation coming up has been awesome. The generation that's coming up behind you and even behind my daughter, they're seeing someone who left home, didn't know what that was going to look like. You attend an HBCU, see the culture shock, knowing that you can do it, coming from that, breaking that generational curse of a single parent.
It has been an amazing journey watching KARRI become a docile, meek, and little timid young lady who had this big voice. I don't know if everyone knows that she has an amazing angelic voice inside of her. We all thought that she would be a gospel singer or get some major contract with a record label, and to see that God didn't use her to date. We don't know what he'll do in the future, but to date, he did not use her vocal in the sense of her singing ability and capability to be the thing to lift her up in the body of Christ, but it's actually still her voice that he used.
You show people the possibility that this can happen. I can be in ministry, I can be in the marketplace, I can be in school, I can be in fashion, I can be in ministry and still look as cute as I want to be. And so the reality of it is it's you're showing the possibility that this is real. It can happen. I don't have to be this one boxed in individual. I can be all that God told me to be. And so for me, I feel like KARRI's the best example of that. She shows us that.
I'm grateful and I'm happy that she's my sister and she's doing it at a high level, for sure.
I see her on television with another person, and it's like a Christian show she's gonna be doing. Don't ask me when and how, I just know it's gonna happen.
Hey family, listen, I pray that you had an opportunity to learn more about me, my story, and my life. As you can see, everything that glitters isn't gold, and there's a story behind the lights, there's a story behind the hotels, there's a story behind all of the glitz and glamour of this city. It is where I grew up, it is where I was reared, it was where my life was transformed and it was changed. I'm so grateful that you got a chance to see what my life looked like outside of the Strip and how I overcame so many obstacles to be able to be with you today. Listen, I pray that you were blessed by today's broadcast. I pray that you were inspired even in your own testimonies and your own stories. And I pray that you have a fire and a drive in you to overcome everything in your life that is trying to keep you down. Listen, I love you. I'm praying for you. Have an incredible week.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's time for your video announcements. Oh, and don't think it's over, because New Birth continues to stand with Texas. Yes, the snow may be gone, but the need is still there. We sent 2 tractor trailers filled with 5,219 bottles of water, valued at $8,147. And we need more. Donate online at newbirth.org/give. Also, are you following the 5 W's for our Lenten journey? Visit newbirth.org for more information and come walk with the pastor every Saturday from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. right here at New Birth. That's right, and while you're on your Lenten journey, don't miss our weekly Lent prayer call every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. Prayer call number is 609-663-5452. What do your dreams mean? Join us for service as Dr. Bryant unlocks the mystery of your dreams, explains the reason God gives us dreams, and how to learn to interpret them. Also, our Call to Conquer bookstore is your convenient source for uplifting messages, gifts, Bibles, and our book of the month, Soul Care by Rob Raymer. Please visit the Call to Conquer bookstore Saturdays from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. or online at calltoconquerbookstore.com. And don't forget, our King's Table offers free groceries every week to those in need. If you need groceries, please come by New Birth Saturday from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. Pull up and get blessed at the King's Table, where everyone is welcome. Hey, help someone take a second look with clearer vision. Please donate your prescription glasses and readers. Collection bins are located inside New Birth and the Bell Family Life Center. Visit newbirth.org for more information. New Birth, you've been blessed by our pastor's cutting-edge leadership, and it's time to honor him for 2 years of outstanding service. The celebration begins Tuesday, March 16th, 7:30 p.m. Our guest speaker is Bishop Kevin Adams, and it continues Sunday, March 21st, 9:30 a.m. with Bishop Randy Borders and musical guest Pastor Ronzel Preetlow. Don't miss it. And save the date for our exciting Resurrection Pull-Up Parking Lot service, Sunday, April 4th, 9:30 a.m. Stay tuned for more details. And that's gonna do it for our video announcements.
Hey family, I pray that you enjoyed our 15 minutes together. I pray that something about my story inspired you and reminds you that it doesn't matter where you come from, what you've had to endure. When the Lord has spoken a word over your life, can I tell you, it is sure to come to pass. Listen, if you want to become a member of New Birth, we want you to join right now by using the prompts below. If you want to sow in this moment, you can do that as well by following the prompts below. Listen, I love you. I'm praying for you. I'm cheering for you so loudly. I hope that you can hear me. I want you to have a blessed, a wonderful, a productive, and prosperous day.